Okay, to finish off this intersection, I will turn off the contours for right now of this transition terrain, and I'm going to turn on, let's see, I'm going to start making other terrains to help with the final terrain that I'll eventually export. If I turn on my levels here, or let's see, let's use my element. Where's my element selection tool? Right there. Now if I highlight that and go to the levels, so now I just have nothing but top geometry. I'm gonna go to my civil terrain create tool from elements, set my feature type to break lines, and I'll call it a nifty name like transition curve return west, and I'll snap through that. It looks nice. I'll tighten it up a little bit by trimming down the length of the triangles to, how about 5? There we go, that looks nice. And I'll do the same over here. Get rid of that level, get rid of that level, nothing but top geometry. Civil terrain model, create from elements. Call this one east, enter. Once again, tighten that up to maximum length of triangles 5, or minimum length. Maximum, minimum. We are going to, I think my main quarters might already have a terrain associated with them. Looks like I'm missing this side right here, so I'm gonna utilize this tool, the terrain model tool of add a feature. I'll come over here and pick up that grass, and then reset when done. It's a bunch of break lines. So now I think the whole terrain, that's that whole quarter. Probably the same thing on this side. I've already got a terrain that has all the top features, which it looks like there. For the transition terrain, I'm going to highlight it, come over to this tool, the templates tool, and I'm going to add a surface template, which I will go into my library to show you what I have there. I've got this is a surface template of it for a driveway. It's just the bituminous pavement and some ag. Let's see, which one do I use? I use this one for my pavement transitions. I think it's just a top pavement, aggregate, and then subcut. And I'll add that, double or click, accept, and there we have that. And if I highlight that, you can see it has the break lines that I added afterwards. And I'm going to, even though this was already a terrain, I'm going to take that top surface of the pavement and make that into its own terrain. Yeah, because that's just what I usually do. Civil terrain model, create from elements, and that will be pave, top, break lines, 20, we go. And I don't know, maybe I don't need to do that. We'll see. Yeah, doesn't make, as of right now it doesn't make that much sense, but that's what I've always done. Turn that down to 5. So let's turn off everything except for my terrains. Let's see, that one's, what level is that one's on? I'll turn that terrain for that corridor to my design construction definition. Same that one. I used to use swamp in place. I don't anymore. I use design construction for all those. So if I turn off all of the levels in 3D except for for those terrains, that they always show up on the DTM boundary because somebody very smart decided that's the way, that's what level he wanted those to show up on. So this is all of my terrains for this intersection. We've got the curb returns right there, the transition itself, and my 2 corridors. And what I'll do now is I will get rid of everything, go to my other favorite tool, Civil Terrain Model, create complex terrain. And I'm going to tie everything together for this area right here. As you can see, I've got a lot of other areas that I could tie, but for this demonstration I'm just going to tie this area together. For your information, this right here is my, I believe, my active terrain, which is, if I turned on my, yeah, this big daddy right there that I'm highlighting is actually my in-place terrain that the project manager gave me. And it's just it's something that I always do whenever I don't need a big area like that. I'll immediately import it and then clip it down to make it really nicer on my CPU. And this is the clip terrain right there, which has some, I usually call clipped terrain. And so that's what that is, just to explain what that is. So let's continue on making my complex terrain, finished proposed complex terrain for this area. I'm going to call this one my primary, Lewis Top 1. I'll find that in my list of ever-increasing list of terrains. I'm going to add that. As you can see, it's the primary, which is the first one. There's always a little question as to whether or not if you want to merge or append. My general rule is that if the terrains don't touch each other and you're not sure of the layering, and as I sometimes explain, all of this, when you merge terrains, you're basically layering them like a stack of pancakes, and you want to have the best looking or latest, greatest tip of the iceberg terrain on top, which I'll demonstrate. So my primary terrain is this Lewis Top 1 terrain. The second one that I'm going to pull in is the Venn Top terrain, which if I highlight both of them, you can see they don't touch each other. So I'm going to have to append this terrain. It's Venn Top, where is it? Right there. Append. Add that. And if I choose for right now I'll call that feature definition of rock in place, which is just a name. I like using rock in place because I like the way how the contours look. And I'll give it a name of finished, and I'll temporarily finish that process just to show you what it looks like. I'll turn on the rock in place level. Is it that one? Yeah. So this is what that finished terrain looks like right now, and I'll just turn on the DTM triangles. Turn that off. This is just a demonstration as to what it looks like. And that's what that finished terrain looks like now. That's all the triangulation for that. Let's go back in, let's highlight that again, go into the Edit Complex Terrain Model mode, which is the same as the Create. Let's add the outsides, let's add the curb return, transition curb return west. That's this one. We will merge that in because it overlaps and it's the more top of that pancake stack. We'll add this one, transition curb return east, which is that one right there. Add that in. And finally, the transition pavement top terrain, pavement top, terrain pavement top. Where are you? Let's see. Terrain pavement tops. Add that. Those are all merged. I'm going to apply that to finish it. Going to turn off the construction terrains just to leave that rock line in place. Let's see. I'll change that one back to construction terrain. And hopefully when we turn on the contours for this finished terrain, it should look pretty nice. And that looks nice. I'll show you some more detail for contour lines by turning on contours, turn the major interval 1, minor interval 0.05, which is my favorite. And as you can see, that's I don't know, I think that looks pretty nice. If I can rotate that, and you can see it's my crown comes in and dissipates, and it blends really nicely, and all my triangles look pretty nice. And the finished terrain does really nice stuff. It shows you where that low point is, so that if the water resource person wants to look at this terrain in the microstation, he can immediately see where he's going to need to put some catch basins. And I could of course click on the side of this terrain and export that geopack tin to him or to the archives for keeping up later. So anyway, I wanted to just get that done, and that is the way that that I make complex terrains for projects, and to keep bloviating, which I'm prone to do sometimes. If you were to use this modeling for cross sections, you'd of course want to do a little bit of clipping to make the clipping nice, and we are told time and time again by the people from Bentley not to use clipping, which I don't do. I used to do it because it makes it look really nice, but if your end goal is to make a nice top surface terrain for the various departments, this is the way that I do it. At the end of the project, when I'm actually cutting cross sections, number one rule of cutting cross sections is don't put pattern lines in intersections, which helps things out a lot too. But when you do put them into intersections, then you would want to, what I do is I save my DGN as something else, and then I'll do my clipping and I'll run that cross section pattern line for that area, and then just utilize that. I won't actually do my clipping in my main DGN. As of right now, the cross sections that we make are not live, they're not active with our main design, so my argument is why not just like use a throwaway DGN to make your cross sections through your transitions. And if anyone has any questions, please just comment below and like this video. Thank you so much.